Yeah, that's right. You heard me, or you read it. You read the title. Maybe a little dramatic, but animation does ruin lives. Specifically, being an animator, doing animation, can ruin your life, but it's all worth it in the end. The reason I say that is because my last video, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do a little walk cycle. I'm just gonna try to keep it simple. And I think the animation, like, it's very few frame rates, but walk cycles are hard. And for the purposes of my game, I wanted to have 4 walk cycles. So walking towards you, walking away from you, walking left, right. Luckily for the left and right ones, I could just flip them and only change a couple of details. But it was really hard. It's hard on your brain and eyes when you're watching something over and over again, just trying to like tell yourself or figure out if it's good enough. Then also knowing when to call it and not just keep on going until it's perfect, but it's never quite perfect because it's not exactly what you envision. It took me a little bit longer than I expected, but I'm really happy with the result. When I was in college, I had an aspiration to be a storyboard artist. That didn't quite happen because I also didn't really know how to do that and how to go about becoming one. And I wasn't really interested in moving to Burbank or LA or wherever storyboard artists frequent. So I did comics, but I still had this fantasy of being an animator, but animation is hard, as I've said. And because animation takes a lot of time and is tedious and pretty draining if you're doing hand-drawn animation, I never felt like I had enough animation work to call myself an animator, which I think is kind of silly. I feel like a lot of times people do something once and they decide that's their new title. For example, this is my first game and I'm still in the very beginning stages of it, but I'm a game developer. So I think I can definitely call myself an animator after this trial. After I finished animating the walk cycles, I had a bit of a drama. I exported the frames and I put them into my computer, and then I was trying to import them into Visionaire Studio and they just wouldn't show up. And I was dying. It was so aggravating because I had spent all this time and all this effort and now I was running into this technical issue. And I thought it was because of the codecs. I thought it was because my PNG was like the wrong format, or maybe it was like it was like CMYK versus RGB, even though I only work in RGB because this is a computer game. And anyway, I had a lot of troubleshooting that went down, and eventually I figured out the problem. It was that I didn't have my files in the right folder. I know. It was so annoying, but at least, you know, everything worked out in the end. So I got my frames into Visionaire and I had Topo walking, which was super exciting, but I only had like my original character designs for when he would stop and stand in place, which look different from the animation because as you're developing a character, as you're developing a world, things start to morph and change as time goes on and the more you work on it. So it looked really off. It wasn't working for me. He's smaller, he's like, you know, one image has shading. He looks different. It didn't fit. So then after all this drama of making my walking animations and importing them and finally getting them to appear in my prototype, I was like, oh my god, I need to do standing animations, which is definitely not as difficult as walk cycle. It's not as difficult as walking animations, but I think I was so burnt out on animation at that point that I was like, okay, let me do this. And I think they're fine. They're just 3 frames looping each one. So, but I had to do, basically what I'm trying to say is I had to do 8 different character animations just to get to a point where I was happy with Topo being able to travel across the screen. But I am really happy with how it looks. I think it looks really great. There were 2 things that kept me motivated, I think, as I was feeling like my life was ruined, and also my wrist was ruined by animating my player character. 2 things that kept me going were my network of friends and basically like my followers on Instagram. You can follow me at Lurisu. I was posting the walk cycles and people were like saying, this looks good, this looks great. And it was also helpful for me to like set him walking to music, and just like seeing him bounce along was satisfying. That was helpful. And another thing that was helpful was I'm in several indie game dev Discord servers, and I try to post my work there. Basically, there's channels where you can show other indie game devs what you're working on, and that was very motivating for me because I feel like I'm working in a silo sometimes. It's really helpful to just share my work with other people and get their feedback. And it was good to know when people had positive feedback, like, okay, I'm on the right track. I don't need to start over. I don't need to like stretch myself too much further on this. Just get to a point where it works for the prototype and move on, because a walking character a game does not make, I guess, unless you have a walking simulator. One game dev Discord server that has like a really awesome community I've found is let me check so I get the name correct. I found it through their podcast and decided to join the server just to see who else is in there. Oh, Game Dev Field Guide. It's run by Zachavelli, and it's got a really cool community of game devs who are super supportive and have really engaging conversations and seem really motivated. And I like posting in there, but I also enjoy they have events, basically a show and tell every week. They have 2 different times, and it's cool for people. It's cool because I get to see other game devs showing their work, and I can share feedback. And also then eventually I showed my own work, and there's only a couple people there at the time, but their response was like really encouraging, and it helped me get better at presenting and articulating my game. So yeah, those are my major motivating factors when I was in the thick of it. I was showing like the 4 walk cycles, and I was like, I think this one is like the weakest one. It's not working for me. I think it looks really wonky. And a person in there was like, no, it doesn't look wonky. It looks great. I was like, oh, okay. It's just because I've been staring at this and watching it constantly for who knows how long. And my wrist hurts. My wrist really hurts. And I kind of went a little cuckoo. But yeah, it was sobering, I guess. It put me in the right place. Just as I said in my last video, which hopefully will come true in the next video, I hopefully will finally get a chance to jump into inventory and observing items and things like that. But one more thing. I'm thinking about doing a 100 subscriber giveaway. I have 97 subscribers as of the time I am recording this video. I think if I hit 100, I will do a little giveaway of an original drawing of Topo and or Scrunt. I think I have to do my research on how you actually run these. But basically, I'll draw something and I can mail it to you if you are selected randomly in this giveaway. But I have to have 100 subscribers before I do that. So subscribe. Anyway, this video was a lot of complaining, I think, but in the end, animation is worth it. It's a learning experience. It's really cool to see the fruits of your labor, and you shouldn't give up. Well, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your week, and happy gaming.